Turns out desire isn't just about in the mood or not tonight. With Angie Enger in the hot seat, we're spilling the tea on desire types, the fast sparks, the slow burns, and everything in between. Because let's be real, desire isn't Amazon Prime. It doesn't always come fast. Buckle up because your sex life is about to make way more sense.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Come Talk with Aimee. Yes, we are so excited that you are here. To our listeners, we're extra excited to have Angie Enger here with us today. Welcome, Angie.
Yay. Hi. I'm so happy to be here.
Yay! Angie Enger is a compassionate and insightful self-intimacy and sex coach dedicated to helping women and femmes redefine their erotic identities and reclaim their pleasure. She guides individuals to confidently explore their desires, navigate complex emotions, and forge deeper connections with themselves and their partners. Hello, yes. Clients praise her ability to create a shame-free space for exploration, providing practical tools and profound insights that lead to greater sexual fulfillment and empowered self-expression. Yes, Angie, warm welcome. We
Thank
love that
you.
you're here.
I'm so excited to be here. It's going to be great.
I'm really excited to delve into our topic today, everything desires.
Yes, girl.
Yes, right?
Mhm.
I have a question for you. When we say desire, what do we really mean when we talk about desire types?
Yes. In short, desire is just wanting something. That's it. Not anything bigger than that. When we're talking about sexual desire, often what we mean, I think people use it interchangeably for being turned on or wanting sex.
Mm,
And there's two types of desire. One of them is responsive and one of them is spontaneous. Responsive desire is basically wanting to have sex after you have been exposed to sex. It's a responsive, right? Whereas spontaneous desire is anticipatory. It's like being excited about sex before that's even introduced to the equation.
okay.
But honestly, I see it more as a spectrum. I don't think it's either or. There's some amount of responsive, some amount of spontaneous, and you're somewhere probably in the middle floating around, and it can change throughout your life. It can change throughout your day. It changes from time to time. I see it more as a spectrum. That's me personally.
I totally agree with that. I love that visual too of a spectrum, and life is fluid. We have different stressors throughout our day, throughout our life,
Mhm.
right? We have different things that are going on.
I always have clients come to me and say, I wish it was like when I was 20. I wish it was like when I was 20 and I wanted sex all the time and my partner and I were free or I was off doing whatever. When we look back at those times, we often find that we were thinking about sex all the time. We were talking about sex all the time. We were planning our outfit. We were planning our date. We were sexting each other. I kind of question sometimes how much of that was actually pretty responsive and not just spontaneous out of the magical ether, you know?
Yes, I love that. It's so true.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. I'm taking that in. I'm like, yes.
I know, right? It's interesting to look back on it and be I thought I was so free and turned on, but actually I just didn't have a lot of other stuff getting in my way
Yeah.
of thinking about sex. I had many less obligations and responsibilities. I was able to be free in it a little bit more,
Yeah, the juices were flowing throughout the day because you knew what was coming up.
literally and figuratively.
Yeah, all of the things. How do you first start exploring different ways that desire show up? How can people know how it's
Yeah.
showing up for them?
Yeah. I think that you probably, after hearing that description, have some sense of where you fall on the spectrum. People who have spontaneous desire find it to be accessible. The idea of being turned on feels really accessible and relatable and not necessarily easy, but it's present. Whereas responsive desire, you might feel, I'm not even thinking about it. It's over here and maybe it'll pop up eventually. You kind of have an innate sense for it. I like to start that process like I start most of my processes, which is just really tuning into your body and thinking about what are your senses doing and can that give you data? That's my number one go-to way of coaching and kind of accessing these more introductory types of ideas.
Yes. Can you give us an example?
This is so funny. I always think about this when I'm having this conversation about desire. I think there's a lot of overlap between desire and arousal because usually we are feeling aroused. There is some sense of our senses are stimulated when we are feeling desire. Many years ago, lived in Hawaii, and I was hanging out with a friend, his Hanai mother, which is basically like his community mom, and she was
Okay.
transgender, and she was asking me, what does it feel like to be turned on as a woman? What does it feel like to be turned on with a vagina? And it was such an interesting question. I really had to think about what it felt like. And what I came up with at the time, I think I still stand by it, was like tingly buzzy. It's like the tingly buzzies. And
I love that.
so I think being able to sort of narrate, not judge, not explain, not process, just narrate. Oh, I'm feeling warm in my chest. I'm feeling like the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Just narrating what experience you're having and what's happening when you're having that experience can be really helpful.
Yeah, and it's also, I find, helps you drop into that arousal and that
Mhm.
arousal state more by dropping into your senses and how you're feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. The senses is so much more important than how we're defining it. I know that you are a big fan of Cindy Darnell, much like myself. She's amazing. We'll probably put her book in the show notes. But
Yeah.
she talks about, instead of desire being the imperative, desire being the signal that we know whether or not we want sex, she talks about it as willingness. Are you willing to explore it? Are you interested in the idea of it? Often I have clients say, I want to have sex. Well, if you want it, I think you do want it. And so I think that willingness or openness is so
Mm,
much more important than I am actively in the mood to have sex right now,
yes, yes,
which is, I think, what we think when we think about desire.
absolutely. Yeah, the willingness, the openness. And you have my mind on Cindy now. She is like my sexpert crush. Yes,
Yes,
yes. I
she's so
even
amazing. We love her.
We love Cindy. She was my teacher for the Embody Lab. And every once in a while, I'll post in my stories one of her stories, and she always looks at it, and I'm like, and then she'll repost it, and I'm like, my sexpert crush.
Yes, Cindy. We love you, Cindy. Cindy fan club. I know she's
Yeah,
amazing.
she hearts it back. I'm like, okay,
Life complete.
little love from Cindy. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so,
it's fabulous. If we could talk about your experience, were you ever
yeah.
surprised by your own desire type, or like
Oh my
how it's
God. Yeah.
changed over time?
I was surprised that there was desire types. I think a lot of us
Mm,
probably felt that way. Before I knew all the things I know now, I certainly thought what many of us think, which is that spontaneous desire, aka just being able to be in the mood, is quote unquote normal and quote unquote healthy, and that
mhm,
everything else
mhm.
is not. Just the mere concept of responsive desire was a surprise to me.
Yes.
I certainly would identify more with that for the majority of my life, probably than spontaneous. I am a very sensory person. I'm a very contextual person. I'm a very sensitive, sentimental person. And so my environment around me is really meaningful. And I think that that has a lot to do with my responsive desire and having things be conducive. I I had a pretty normal, quote unquote, normal for me sex life before I had my daughter.
Mhm.
And then after everything went haywire, I think many of us experienced
Yeah.
that. There were so many breaks on my desire that I couldn't even really think about it, which is where I discovered desire types and Emily Nagoski and all of the amazing research that we have. I just think it's all interesting and it's all good. It's all good. Nothing is bad. Nothing is wrong. I always say change is constant to all my clients. We really want things to stay the same when they're good. But if we
Mhm.
can adapt and learn the base knowledge, we can go with the flow, man.
Yeah.
And it's just going to change. It's all going to change all the time.
What is that saying? The one constant is life in life is change.
Right, exactly. It's just true. The second you're used to it, it's like something's different. That's okay. Totally
Yeah.
fine. Something that I was able to do with my partner that really surprised me was being able to deconstruct and disengage from the numbers game, from
Mm,
the you have sex X times X amount of months or whatever, like how frequent your sex is,
and like
disengage from that
expectations
as a
of that.
measure of success. Completely. That often goes hand in hand with once you start learning desire types and what yours are. We probably would have gotten to this later, but I'll say it now. 80% of couples have discrepancies in their sex desire type.
Yes.
It's actually would be weird if you both were responsive or you both were spontaneous. It's much more likely that one is one and one is the other. When you start to deconstruct that, I think deconstructing the you have to have sex once a week or something's wrong has to kind of come along with it. It's really helpful if it can come along with it.
Yeah, and also going back to your spectrum I did too, is that sometimes you're going to be in that responsive dynamic as the partner, and sometimes you're going to be in the spontaneous, depending on what's
Yeah.
going on in each of your lives and collectively too.
Absolutely. I mean, as responsive as I am, I tell you what, when I'm like reading a new smut book, I'm the instigator for sure. And my husband is the responsive one all of a sudden. Like he's like, oh, what? Okay. It's contextual. That's what I mean. Where is spontaneous even real? It is. But for me as a responsive person, what does it even all mean?
Right, right. Yeah, absolutely. And also, you mentioned, I just want to give rise to this for people who are listening in, and maybe what is the difference between desire and arousal? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. Like I mentioned at the beginning, desire is just wanting. It's the idea that you want something. Whereas arousal, there's lots of definitions and you can have your own of what that means for you, but it's a physiological response. That's all it is. It feels different for every person. I'm sure there are many consistencies as well, depending on what body parts you have, but it basically is a physiological response. And oftentimes, those two things might not be connected. So you might feel aroused. They've done lots of research on this. You might feel aroused by something. You might be, I'm feeling the tingly buzzies and not have any desire whatsoever and not want any of that stuff to happen to you.
Yes.
And that's really important that to also note that that's totally normal as well. Just because you're turned on or you're wet or whatever doesn't mean that you need to want whatever is happening if you don't.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for pointing that out, because that is so key and important to realize. Yeah.
I think it's related to fantasy. I have a lot of clients who are exploring their fantasies or their ideas, and it is really, really okay to be turned on by the idea of something or like something happening in a book and not want that to happen to you in real life. It's a very interesting thing that our brains can do, that our brains can be that flexible to be, oh, I love the idea of that. How saucy. I love being safe in my little cozy bed in my little house.
Yes.
Reading about that. So hot. If I was out on the street and it happened to me, I don't think I would like that.
Yeah.
Our minds get to be a safe place to explore those fantasies, even if you don't want to do them.
Yeah, absolutely. Some fantasies you may want to explore in reality,
Absolutely.
and some you may start and like, nah, that's not, nope, let's backpedal, and that is okay. And be with
That's okay.
partners who will honor that and explore that process with you for
Absolutely.
sure. You've kind of already gone there, but as far as the different desire types, can you walk us through the core desire types and what makes each one unique?
A little bit of data, which don't quote me on it. I have ADHD. I'm doing my best. But there is different research out there. I recently just heard about contextual desire, which is basically more along the lines of the spectrum that I was mentioning, where like oscillate and your type of desire is extremely contextually dependent. I would say that's a flexi desire, maybe. Responsive being in response to, and there needs to be some sort of sexual stimuli. And the idea of sexual activity or sexual interest put in your mind by something else or yourself, if you're reading a book, whatever, before you're going to feel desire, before you're going to want something, and spontaneous. That is a gust of wind, and here we are turned on and wanting to have sex. It's important to note that something like 85% of people assigned female at birth tend to report responsive desire, and a very similar number to that, around the 80% of people assigned male at birth report spontaneous desire. And so we kind of touched on this, but I'll put a fine point on it now. If you find yourself thinking in the back of your mind, well, spontaneous sounds like what's normal. The reason that we think that is, say it with me, the fucking patriarchy. That's
Patriarchy.
the patriarchy. They're ruining your sex life too. So the patriarchy is why we think that spontaneous is good and wonderful and healthy, and that must mean you really like each other, and responsive is bad. And that is a lie, much like the other things they are up to over there.
100%.
Both are healthy, both are good. We tend to, okay, this is off script a little bit. Are you ready?
Yes.
I'm curious for your take. Except in medical cases, I kind of reject the idea of low libido. Is that controversial? I think that the idea of low libido, especially as it was referred to for women, is low compared to what? Low for who? Lower than you want? Lower than your partner? My feathers get a little bit ruffled when I hear people refer to their low libido, only because if you don't have a problem with it, then it's not low, it's fine for you. If it's low only compared to your partner, then that's okay too. We've also really medicalized low libido or low desire for women. Take a pill, do this, and
Yeah.
most of that stuff doesn't work that great. Anyway, that's my controversial take that I decided to share with you.
I love that. And when you were talking about that, it made me think of another like fabulous expert, Esther Perel.
Ugh.
It's not that women don't want sex, it's that they don't want the sex that they're getting.
Yes.
And that they're
The most
having.
powerful sex coaching question you will hear from all of us sex coaches, if you don't want sex, is the sex you're having worth wanting?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes. I don't think I've shared this yet, but I'm going to go there.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought I had no/low libido.
Yeah.
I remember going to my midwife slash she's who I went to postpartum and sexual health and continue to go to her for sexual health stuff. And she was, well, what birth control are you using? And I'm like, abstinence. And she was like, that doesn't sound fun. And I was like, fun? I didn't know.
What's fun? It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, like I didn't know what she was talking about. It's
Yeah.
so to me now.
How would you know? No one ever told you that. No one ever talked to you about the fact that sex is play. We don't learn that in school.
We don't learn about that. I came from a very religious background where sex was no until the ring is on and then it's a go. And all
And
of a
then you don't
sudden
know what the
it's
fuck you're doing. And it's
Yeah.
really intense. I know.
And it's a message that it should be painful for the woman, but pleasurable for the man.
Yeah, if it's painful, that's fine. Really, we don't mind that so much.
That's just expected and all the stuff. So I was like, I don't want that. No, thank you. And that could be further from the truth.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't want the sex that was being
that was offered. Yeah, that you had on available. I also think a lot about, I know a lot of women, friends and clients and strangers who have said to me, I don't know, I think I might just be asexual. I don't care if I never have sex again. When you get to the root of it, it's because sex causes so much guilt and anxiety that just never having sex again would just alleviate the guilt and anxiety, when actually they do want sex. They would love to have great sex. It's the rest of it around it is too overwhelming. And that's such a shame. We don't want that for you.
Yeah, no, we don't want that for you. And I can tell you here, if you're listening, learn from me.
It doesn't have to be that way. Does not have to be that way.
And that was a foray into realizing that for myself. I do have a libido and it's very fresh and thriving. And I love helping my clients. What I say is like, tap into your pleasure power, you know? And
I also think it's always worth opening the can of worms, because it can feel really overwhelming to be, I don't know, what if this, what if that, what if my whole relationship breaks down, whatever. Obviously, those are really scary fears, but it's always worth someone just being like, can we talk about this? Can we just talk about this? And you'd be amazed. One of my most consistent phrases to my child and my friends and my clients is, your brain is lying to you.
Yeah.
Because our brains keep us safe. That's their job. It's literally your brain's job to keep you safe. What is inherently unsafe? Change. Doing something differently than the way you're doing it now. Anything your brain is making up about why your partner didn't put the moves on you, or why they said what they said, or why they did what they did, or any of that shit is so much worse than what is actually true. It's so much worse. It's always only been worse. I think they're doing that because they don't love me anymore and they think I'm gross since I had the baby. Maybe they're cheating on me, and it's, you kept pushing me away, so I stopped. And I just wanted to respect your boundaries.
Right. It is. It's getting out of our heads and having those conversations with curiosity and compassion for ourselves, for the people that we are having sex with.
Yeah.
And I think that helps us understand our desires too and what we're experiencing. So on that note, how are desire types often misunderstood? You mentioned shame, how they're overlooked. Take us there.
In addition to what we've already spoken about, responsive is broken and spontaneous is good and blah, 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 it also lends itself to that idea that women shouldn't want sex, and that if you are a woman or a femme presenting human, that you don't want sex and you shouldn't want sex. And if you have spontaneous desire, then you're whatever bad word you want to think of. It reinforces it. Well, the responsive is just because you don't want sex because you're so sensitive and lovely and perfect, but also once you're in bed, let's get it going. In addition to that, it does perpetuate that myth that women shouldn't want sex and they shouldn't enjoy it.
Mhm.
If you have spontaneous desire, or for our lovely dudes out there, if you have responsive, there are lots of men who
Yes,
have responsive desire. Lots, plenty. And
absolutely.
if you don't today, you might in the future. There's also this horrible same double standard of if you're a man who has responsive desire, then you're not really a man. That locks all of us into a really shitty place of needing to be a certain way and not
Mhm.
being good enough or not being right. That's just so damaging. Where do we talk about shame? Were we already talking about shame 85 times today? It
Yeah.
all just adds up to the same crap.
In my head, I was thinking patriarchy,
Of
like, and
course.
how
Right?
all of us. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
And it
God.
also prevents you when you are a woman who isn't supposed to want sex, then you're never gonna open yourself up to the world out there. You aren't gonna know what you want. You aren't gonna know how to communicate about it. You aren't gonna know how to get it. Keeps us all in these really stifled, erotic places.
Right.
I always think about the erotic playground. What is your erotic playground? That's what it should feel like. Not should. It is nice when it feels that way. It just keeps us all down.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what I have found, and also what not just I mentioned my own experience and stepping into my pleasure power and understanding my desires. But I had a friend who, and it was a male friend, one of my besties, just opened up and talked to me about it. Like, got off the phone with him and like bought my first vibrator. We weren't talking in any like inappropriate, like, or like sexual way. It was
Sure.
like somebody who was like caring and concerned about like my physical and mental
Happiness?
emotional health. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got off the phone, bought my first vibrator, like didn't look back kind of thing, and just started
Mhm.
exploring in that way. But conversation was so crucial. And then as I understood myself more and started having those conversations with friends, it was
Mhm.
this big exhale. Anytime I'd have
Yes.
a conversation with a friend still too, that they knew that I was a safe place to have this
Mhm.
conversation. And they've been wanting to have this conversation. So it's
Yes.
we talk about sex, but people don't know where to go or have that language
Yeah.
of
Like, fuck the internet, man. I know we're on the internet right now, but it's really awful out there. There's a lot of inaccurate messaging, but messaging that will harm you more than help you and make you feel bad about yourself. Anything that makes you feel bad about yourself is not right for you.
yeah, we don't want that for you.
We don't want that. And but I totally have had the same experience, Aimee, where I've done small groups and I have a small shop on the side where I sell pleasure products from women owned brands only. I did the girls' night with a friend of mine, and she was, look, I'm a little bit older than you. She's like, just the next generation up. She's just Gen X, and I'm just millennial. She's like, we don't talk about sex. I have never talked to my friends about sex. I have never owned a vibrator. I have no idea if my friends own vibrators. She's like, this could go horribly wrong. It could be crickets. I really don't know what to expect. I think that people are going to have fun. As long as you're fine with that, can you come do this thing? And I was, yeah, for sure. And wouldn't you know, everyone fucking loved it. Everyone was just dying to have these conversations. Everyone really does. It is such a core part of humanity. Even if you are on the asexual spectrum
Mhm.
and you don't have sexual desire or you're experiencing sexuality in a way that isn't aligned with the mainstream, you still want to talk about it. It's such a
Absolutely.
core part of who we are. If you're worried, if you are a person who is listening and is, I feel so alone with this information in my brain, I encourage you to just open up the can of worms to somebody. And I think you will be surprised that they really want to talk to you about it too.
Yes,
Everyone
absolutely.
wants to talk about it. If you
Yes.
feel safe with somebody, give it a go. I always like to externalize when a conversation sounds scary. This is also good advice. I think later we might talk about communication with a partner. If you're like, how
Mhm.
do I bring this up with my partner? My go to, maybe it's because I'm like Western, grew up like sort of like passive about stuff, but if you're afraid to bring something up and say, I blah, 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 you can always externalize it and say, I heard about this thing, or a friend was telling you about this thing, or I read about this thing in a book, and just put your thing on whatever that magical other entity is, and it makes it feel so much less scary. And you can kind of
Yeah.
wait out, how's this person going to respond if it's not directed at me? That
Yep.
might help
I
you
heard it on this
understand if that's
podcast.
yeah, listen to this podcast, whatever it is. That actually was a really key part of when I was postpartum and learned that I had a responsive desire. And
Mhm.
it was like that can of worms moment where it was, we haven't talked about this in a while. Who's going to bring it up? It's so fraught. There's so much projection and defensiveness and sensitivity around this
Yes.
topic. And finally,
Yeah.
I read this thing in a book, and I don't think it's physically possible. And that was it. It was like some crazy monster smut. And I was like, I got to read
Yes.
this to you because I don't get how this would work. And my husband was like, okay, what is it? And he was like, "Oh, I think it could work actually if you did it like this, this, and this." And then lo and behold, the conversation was open and it wasn't so intense.
Yes, yes, I love that for you guys. Yes, since we're talking about in partnerships and different desire types, how can relationship dynamics shift when partners have different desire types? So you mentioned the majority of people are going to be in partnerships with a partner who has a different desire type than them.
I'm going to assume that if you are in a partnership of some kind, that you guys care about each other. Or not just a partnership. If you are in a relationship with multiple people, let's assume that all of you people in relationship in a partnership care about each other. Any of those conversations should always be rooted in that. We can all assume positive intent of our partner or partners that you want me to be happy. One of the things that I talk with folks about, especially when we're in this territory, is understanding folks' values. So again, not something anyone has probably ever asked you about before. Wasn't in sex ed, wasn't in Cosmo. I will ask some questions like, what is sex for? What's the best part about sex? What's the worst part about sex? What's your favorite thing? What's the best sex you've ever had? What's the best sex you think you might have? Digging into the values around it, because everyone has different perspectives. And most folks often will say something along the lines of, it's for connection. It's really important for connection with my partner or partners. Once you have that data point, you can start to expand the conversation around that. My gosh, connection. How are the other ways we connect? What's your favorite way to connect together? What's the most meaningful connection we've had? You can start to expand the conversation and expand your perspective of how desire works and how sexual relationship works. So that it isn't just when we're in the bed, X, Y, Z. So there's that. That's one thing. And then if you go on Emily Nagoski's website, she has worksheets that are related to her books, Come As You Are and Come Together. I love these worksheets. I sign them all the time. She has an accelerator and a breaks worksheet, and she has a context, the sexy context worksheets. Have you seen? I'm sure you've seen these worksheets, Aimee. I really love those as starting points as well, because partially it alleviates some of the personalization of things like accelerator and brakes. We can say, like, when the dishes are piled high, that's a break. It's not about you didn't do the dishes, I didn't do the dishes, we can't have sex until we do the dishes. But it's like you cut these two lists of things. It's gonna slow me down and that's gonna speed me up. It's not about you. It's not about your partner. And the sexy contexts worksheet, I think, is actually just so fun and interesting to do. I can't remember the last time, now that I'm an old married lady with a kid, that my friends and I told tales about our sexual adventures. I don't know the last time I did that. The worksheet can be a really fun way. If you feel you are in a safe enough relationship to be maybe talking about sex you've had with somebody else. If not, just talk about the sex you've had with this person. Where you can kind of just
hour.
yeah,
Like cocktail hour with the girl.
absolutely. Oh my God, so fun.
Sticky.
Yeah, we get these ideas in our heads about what great sex is, how to get desire. You realize that it's just so many little things. There's so many other little things. That's not meant to be overwhelming. That's meant to be empowering. I always say small things are big things. So if you can light a candle while you're cooking dinner, that's going to spark something for you versus not, right? I like those worksheets as good starting points. Obviously, read the books. They are amazing.
Yeah.
I think those worksheets, yes. Oh my God, Emily's amazing. Another fangirl moment. But those worksheets can be really helpful. I know. I mean, we could talk about this for like a million billion years. I know.
Talk about it forever. We could talk about it forever. So many different nerd out and examine it from so many different ways. As far as different myths around desire, what are you tired of hearing? Or what have you heard?
All of them. I think the biggest, I don't know if it's just one myth or a collection of myths around the idea that desire is what matters most. That desire is what tells you whether or not you're attracted to your partner, that tells you whether or not you like sex, that tells you whether or not you want to have sex. Desire is one part of an equation. It's a really great, important part, but there are so many other elements that are really important, like willingness, like interest, curiosity, play, pleasure. The goal is pleasure, y'all. And so I think that myth that other than the whole spontaneous is good and responsive is bad or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I just think that desire is cool. And also it shouldn't be your compass. It shouldn't be what's telling you whether or not you want or like sex.
Yes. And then also because that can lead to shame, or it can
100%.
be
Then you
spurred
feel
on by
broken. And it also really leads to, I'm really big on abundance and scarcity mindset. I have one of my favorite frameworks, especially the fact that there are only two types of desire. It can really lead to scarcity. It can really lead to this idea that there are limited possibilities. Either you're this or that and nothing else. And I'm all about abundance for everything in my
Yes,
world.
absolutely. Abundance, expansion. Yes, we're
Yes.
for it. Absolutely. You talked about cultural conditioning a little bit, especially
Mhm.
for women. Like, how does cultural conditioning affect the way we understand our turn-ons?
We could talk about this for a long time, and I'm sure we
A whole other
both
episode.
could. Yeah, a whole nother episode of just cultural shame. Those are the messages that we got that normalized everything. Our whole sexual development is steeped in cultural conditioning and steeped in messages about what is good or bad or right or wrong. It's complex too at the same time. I am a feminist, and also I like dirty, dirty, dirty smut. And also I like bondage, but also I really believe in consent. It's
Yeah.
super complex too. And so I think it's so important to listen to your own voice in your head, not somebody
Mm,
else's voice in your head. And so if you are having, I talk about this a lot with women clients who have experienced trauma and find that elements that were maybe somehow connected to their trauma, they also find sexually appealing or titillating. There's so much shame around that. I always ask, whose voice are you hearing when you
mm,
hear you're wrong and bad and you brought it on yourself? Because
yeah.
it's not your voice. I often think about turnoffs and cultural influences in that context of whose voices are these messages coming in. Gosh, it's endless. It's the
Yes.
soup that we live in. I heard something really interesting recently. I'll be curious if you've heard this too, especially as it relates to trauma or limiting beliefs or cultural influences that are not helpful or don't serve you any longer. It's not necessarily about healing them or fixing them or making them go away. It's
Hmm.
about expanding your container to hold those things and the good things and the helpful things and the
Yeah.
things you like,
Yeah.
which is a really powerful approach. Obviously, like there's extremes, there's traumas that, we don't want to keep in our container, but that idea of both things can be true. I can have grown
Yes.
up with these fucked up messages that don't serve me any longer, and also I can still believe this other thing or this other thing.
It's so funny. My mind went to this Korean pop, K-pop. It's show that my daughter's been watching. Like,
In Hunters,
yes.
oh my God, I'm really trying. Oh my God. No, Amy, I'm not kidding you. My friend whose daughter is in
Huh?
who's my friend whose daughter is in my daughter's grade. Literally, as we were saying that, I just got a text on my computer that was, we have to watch K-pop Demon Hunters. I'm literally not kidding you. It
Amazing.
popped up right there. So anyway, that was funny. I think it's a sign that we all have to go watch K-pop Demon Hunters.
If you haven't watched it, so many great messages, themes. It reminds me of like there's a part in it. Well, I mean, the whole thing is about her lighting part of who she is, right? Her, and then it goes into also familial, right? Her caretaker who is like, you have to like hide that, not let anybody know. That's the protection. It's like
To
how you're
to be
protecting
safe,
it.
yeah.
It's like, no,
It's
I
like
need to.
Elsa.
Yes, yeah, I know. There's
Sorry.
so many kid stuff is really we can all learn from it.
Yeah.
You know that you need to embrace that and not denying these parts that have made you, but
Mhm.
understanding them, and
Yeah, and I
yeah,
don't hate them
expanding with
either.
that.
If you can say this doesn't serve me anymore and I'm going to choose to be a different way, but don't hate yourself for it. Don't hate yourself for growing up in a way that was limiting or oppressive,
Because a
because that
lot of
ain't
the
going to help.
yeah, absolutely. Again, that compassion. I always say compassion, curiosity, and coming.
The
All of
best
those
things in
together.
life,
Yeah,
the three C's.
the three C's.
Do you call it the three C's? You should.
I should. I should. Yeah. I am now. I'm calling it three
Yes.
C's.
The answer is yes. Yeah,
We're going to
perfect.
do a workshop on it. Yeah. How can we're breaking it down for people, the different desire types, and you've talked a lot about knowing yourself and the importance of tuning inwards. And how can knowing your desire type really be a pathway to agency, not just to better sex?
It will alleviate, hopefully, some of that shame or some of that artifice of what you should or shouldn't want or do. If you have spontaneous desire, there's something to really celebrate there. There's something really exciting about that. There's a freedom, there's a there's a whimsy, there's a, whatever. It's fun to celebrate those things. And I also think if you have responsive desire, there's so much to celebrate and there's so much to explore. It really enables you to say, okay, I have responsive desire. So that means that I need some stimuli. So I'm going to go on a little treasure hunt and figure out what stimuli is going to work for me. And some things won't and some things will. And you can make it fun. I always say we're collecting data when I give clients homework. I'm like, we are anthropologists and we are collecting data.
Yes, we
None of
are.
it's good or bad. We're just seeing what happens. My philosophy as it relates to sexual relationships or relationships really of any kind is like mutual collaboration, personal accountability. It is totally incumbent upon you to know what you like,
Yes.
to experiment, to be curious, to explore, to deconstruct your shit, to open up yourself to new experiences, to understand your pleasure, to bring yourself pleasure, to create environments for pleasure. I really, really believe that like no one can give it to you and no one can do it for you.
Yes.
So that personal accountability is absolutely 100% necessary. A lot of friends and clients who they don't engage in self-pleasure. They don't really know what they like outside of their partnerships. And if that works for them, then that's awesome. But holy shit, is there a whole world of experience and identity that can come from really knowing yourself? There is both a personal process and a collaboration that you get to do with your partner or partners as that exploration continues. They can't feel the pleasure for you, and they also can't read your mind. So important to really be putting yourself out there for yourself, for your own self.
I think that self-exploration, I'm a huge, huge fan of masturbation, self-exploration in and out of relationships. And also, you mentioned this, I think, a little bit in the beginning. And for me, responsive and spontaneous desire for me can even show up in masturbation. Sometimes I want to masturbate, but it's like I don't want to. And so I have to like turn myself on. I have to set the mood for myself. And this is a pleasure. It's not an assignment, right?
It's not a chore.
I get to indulge in this. And yeah,
I totally agree with that though, too, that this must just be part of the responsive desire. But if I go through a phase where I don't masturbate and I'm not having sex with my partner, let's say everyone is sick because kids have germs, something like that, I don't want it. I don't want it until it happens. And then I want it again. The less you engage, the less you kind of want it, whether that's pleasure or orgasm or sex or whatever. I always say pleasure begets pleasure. The more you have, the more you have.
Yes. Yeah. And I was thinking too, when you were talking about the partnerships and knowing yourself and also knowing your partner and adding that into the play.
Yes.
Understanding their desire types and how can you put that into the type of play that you're having. And foreplay, and I'm all about foreplay all day.
Agree.
And
everything is foreplay. Life is foreplay if you let it.
Yes, yes. Well, I loved your example of lighting a candle while you're doing
God, yes.
while you're cooking. Just little things that go
just
a long way.
Activate all of your senses. One of the most common conversations I have with people is I'll say, what brings you pleasure? And the response will very often be, I have no idea what does that even mean. Because I work with a lot of busy folks, a lot of women who are taking care of everyone else's needs and haven't been taking care of their own needs. And so I say, what do you enjoy? I tell people to make a list on their phone in their notes app, which I also have, of things you like. It's easy shit, like lighting a candle. I love cooking by candlelight. I love walking around my yard barefoot. It's one of my favorite things when it's warm. I love having $40 worth of Trader Joe's flowers does wonders for me. So I have that list on my phone and I go look at it when I'm in a bad mood, and there's nothing wrong with that. And there's just so many small things that can really create the environment if you have responsive desire, and really just elevate the environment if you have spontaneous. Fun for everyone. When the vibes are good,
Yeah, well, and like it's such a turn on. I get so turned on knowing that I'm turning my partner on, and I think a lot of you, if you know that this is gonna get their juices flowing, that also gets your juices flowing. Can you talk a little bit about like the communication, like for listeners who may be listening in and Angie, Aimee, this is amazing. I love this, but like, how can I even communicate this to my partner or to myself?
I am a huge fan. I hate to say it, you guys, but I am a huge fan of journaling. I'm sorry. I do it really crappy. I don't do it fancy. I don't say impressive things. There's something about processing your thoughts outside of your own brain. That's really important. I'm also a verbal processor, so I might take a voice memo of me talking about something to get it out of my fucking head. And then
Yeah,
I feel I know what to say. Try and do a little bit of that introspection. And is outrospection a word? I don't know.
I love it.
External processing, whatever that means for you, before you dive in, if you feel that would be helpful for you, then I genuinely believe that you just have to start somewhere. Anywhere that feels accessible and not scary to you, just start there. So if it might be, I heard this thing about different types of desire. Have you ever heard that before? Or holy shit, responsive desire or arousal and desire is different. Like anything, just literally you can say anything you want. There's some really goofy ass cheesy meme out in the world that's you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Which I do actually think is
Yes,
pretty
so true.
good. If we are assuming positive intent from your partner and we are assuming that they love you and care about you, then perfectly phrasing, I heard this podcast and I want to explore it with you. Like, you don't have to do that. You just start anywhere. Send a video, send a meme. I don't, oh, we should make responsive desire memes. Okay. Add that to the list. I really believe that. I don't know. What would you say? I'm curious for what you would say too, because you
Well,
also probably deal with this.
yeah, absolutely. I love the example that you actually gave of yourself and your
Like
husband.
externalizing it to somebody else or
Well,
something
no,
else.
I love that too. But when you were talking about how you brought the excerpt from the book,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we're like, I don't know how this would like, how did this play out? And then it got both of you, yeah, engaging
Yes.
in play in your mind and
Yeah.
conversational and then physical.
Yep.
So I love that. You've already given us so many tools going on, grabbing some of these guides.
Mhm.
The yes, no, maybe list is always a good one
Love it.
too. Yeah, anything to start a conversation. And
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes. I have on my website, I call it a sex slump recovery kit. There's a bunch of stuff in there, but there's also a 20-minute audio recording of me and my husband in our kitchen having this conversation, talking about what we call the bad sex times. When I learned about desire and when I started reading smut and when I deconstructed diet culture and all this shit that really helped, that you can grab. But in there are actual just conversation starters that don't feel scary. So it's literally, I'm curious about things
Mhm.
that aren't, I want this or you need that or whatever. Just little phrases that are, I heard this thing I'm curious about. Anything that makes it not feel so big. And it's
Yeah,
not just one conversation, right? It's this ongoing thread through the conversation. And you said the key word in my world, which is play. Sex is play. It is play. There's no
adult.
right or wrong way to do it. It should be fun. Let's make it fun, make it playful.
Yes, I'm finding different ways of engaging it, of thinking of it in a playful manner because that really it brings that youthfulness, right? It
It
brings that
does.
the calm within us and just the energy
Yeah,
and
I feel like it calms your nervous system away from. We spend a lot of time in fight or flight, I think, as human beings, and
absolutely.
also disassociating from the world around us. And so play is such an important, I don't want to call it a tool because that like feels like an oxymoron to me.
Or
That curiosity and that play can really create opportunities and
mm,
possibilities. Like I said, it's all data gatherings. Even if you're like, we're going to try a thing or I'm going to broach this topic, then turns out neither of us are really that into it. My
yeah,
God, we learned something awesome. Great data. Check. Cool. Moving on. Doesn't have to be bad.
it's
We've learned something.
information.
It's just information.
It's
Yeah, it's just
information.
information. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned the nervous system, and for people who have a trauma history or have some nervous system dysregulation, how can that impact desire? And what are
Yeah.
some things that can help it?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we could spend forever talking about this too. Having that knowledge of how your body works, anything you can know about how your body works, um, is power and control that you have to create an environment where you feel safe. My thing is always no one wants and enjoys sex if they don't have the following three things. One, they feel safe. Two, they feel seen, understood, and their person gets them. And three, sensations. If you're totally disconnected from your body, you're not going to be into it and you're not going to want it or enjoy it as much as you could. Those are my three go-tos. Safety, especially if you have a history of trauma, obviously is the number one
Yeah.
thing that you need to feel to have a good baseline and be able to explore your desire, your arousal, your experiences, what have you. It goes back to knowledge is power. The more you can be aware of yourself and what's happening in you and what's happening in your mind and your body, the more you can create an environment and a context where you can enjoy yourself.
Yes. And also recognizing that you deserve
Oh my
desire
gosh.
and
Yes.
arousal in the way that feels good and comfortable for you.
Mm-hmm.
And honor that
Absolutely.
for yourself. Yeah. So
Absolutely. And your
true.
brain is just trying to keep you safe. Once again,
Yes.
your brain is doing all kinds of wacky shit and it's trying to keep you safe. And thank you, brain. And we're going to move on.
And understanding, okay, how has this narrative helped protect me in the
Mm-hmm.
past? And
Yes.
how can we
Yeah.
shift that to
Stories that we
okay,
tell
so
ourselves about what we're experiencing and what we're feeling are really important and they all serve a purpose. Every story that we tell ourselves serves an important purpose. If you can understand that story was there to keep me safe. I'm going to tell a different story now about this circumstance that is happening or how I feel about it. That is really important because again, it's not about repressing or pushing down. That's not going to help.
yep, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, oh my goodness, I'm taking all this in. What questions can people ask themselves to get curious about their own desire styles? If
Mhm.
they're like, I don't know, I'm listening to this, I don't know, what do I have? How can we kind of like do a
Yeah.
self-assessment?
One thing that's helpful is to think back to a time you had good sex or you enjoyed sex and ask yourself, what was happening in my life during that time? What was happening in my relationship? Where was I? Get back in touch with your senses again. What smells were there? What sounds were there? Was it bright? Was it dark? Were you in a club or is everyone watching you? Get
Yeah.
back into that mindset of a time where you did enjoy sex. If you don't have access to that, project yourself into future. I always say it can be the most ridiculous thing on planet Earth. You could say, what's coming to mind is I want to have sex in outer space. I would be like, fuck yeah, let's explore that. And
Yeah.
so, again, getting back in touch with your senses, what do you hear? What do you see? What do you smell? What's happening outside the room, what's happening inside my body can be really, really helpful to grounding yourself in a place to start, a place to start exploring.
Yes, and that's all part of the play, exploration,
Mm-hmm.
fantasy. I remember when I was first coming into my erotic self, if you will, and
I
somebody
will.
was asking me, somebody I was on a date with, they were, what are some of your fantasies? And
You're like, what?
I was like, fantasies? What are you talking about? I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have fantasies. I have fantasies,
Yeah, I'm
okay?
sure you did.
I needed to allow my mind to go there and
Mm.
to explore and be creative. And ooh, there's so much yumminess.
There's
And
so much yumminess. And again, like I think desire slash sex drive slash libido, all of that can be fraught. It's just about wanting. It's just about
yes,
wanting and being interested in or open to or curious about. If
yes.
you reframe it from sexual desire into what am I curious about? It can really calm down your nervous system when you think about it.
Absolutely. And approaching your partners in that way with that same
Absolutely.
approach rather than coming with like these expectations or
Hmm.
predicting,
Yeah.
what they
And
think are
also,
fun.
yeah, they cannot read your mind. Like they really, really cannot read your mind. They also probably are trying to do what they think you want. If you're feeling they don't want me or this is going to be a pain in the ass for them to, they got to get me all warmed up. Sorry, babe, that's life. Like, and how fun
Yeah.
can that be? Pretty fun, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. Exactly. Going back to you a little bit, like closing
Mm,
things out.
yes.
What's something that you used to believe about your own desire that you now know is like not true?
Oh my God. I think I used to think that it was okay, this is gonna get like weirdly heady. I used to think that my desire was a source of truth when actually it was just a data point.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
like that idea that I have to want sex and facilitate it and be turned on and be this super crazy sexual being to be valid
Mm,
and also that if I wasn't turned on, I didn't want sex. That's a lie. That was a lie for me. That wasn't true for me. Seeing desire as just one piece of a much, much, much bigger puzzle instead of referred to it earlier as the compass or the North
mhm.
Star has been really important for me personally.
Yes, and it's such a lighter perspective. When you were describing that, it's so heavy. And
It's
I
so
think we can
heavy.
all relate to that
Mm-hmm.
pressure that
Mm-hmm.
we put on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And if I
And like,
haven't said it enough, you're not broken. I'm not broken. Amy's not broken. You're not broken. Your best friend's not broken. No one is broken, period. I would put that on a billboard today. You
Yes.
are not broken, period.
You're not broken. That might just have to be the title of this episode.
Oh my God, yes, please. I would love that.
Yes. So I want to know, what does liberated desire look or feel like to you?
Oh my gosh. I'm going to go feel like I'm in my
Okay.
embodiment era. And
Yes.
it's just like light and airy, and it's sort of wafting out of my body and surrounding me in this beautiful glowy haze. It's everywhere and it's accessible, it's abundant, but it's not pressuring me, it's not pressing on me. It's just this beautiful magic dust glitter, Tinkerbell glitter just surrounding me, and it flows out of my little fingertips and it pops out of flowers and it pops out of the toaster. It's this kind of magical, just like ethereal vibe that's all around me. That's what it feels like to me.
That is such a beautiful visual.
I feel like I need to meditate on that later. Visualize and meditate on just that idea. I'm going to do that. Okay.
Oh my
Make a
goodness.
note.
Oh, okay. And one last thing before we come to completion. If someone who is listening in feels disconnected from their desire, we kind of went here, but like, if they're okay, I'm totally disconnected. What are they even talking about? Desire? I don't know. Where do I start?
Write a list of what you like and what you want. And I don't mean sexually. I mean generally. Just what do you like? What do you want to happen in your life? It could be, I want a freaking breakfast in bed. It could be, I want a quesadilla. I always want a quesadilla personally. Write a list of what you like and what you want and start there, because we're all the same people everywhere we are in every facet of our life. Me, Angie, as my erotic identity, it's the same person as my mom identity. It's the same person as my VP of marketing identity. That work of what do you want, what do you like, so powerful. It's so not precious, and it's such an accessible way to start this conversation. I really believe in that.
Yes. Angie. Yeah, this has been so beautiful, so breathtaking, so empowering. All of the things.
Tinkerbell glitter, bing, bing, bing.
Yes.
On everybody.
Oh my God, that is like very sexy, very hot, very, yeah. Woo!
Yeah, all the things.
All of the things. Before we let you go, we have our coming to completion round, aka rapid fire questions that we're going to be asking, desire specific. Are you ready?
I'm going to try really hard to answer quick, but I like to elaborate. So yes, I'm ready.
Rapidish.
Okay.
Question number 1, morning sex or midnight makeout?
Midnight makeout.
Ooh, yes.
Sleepy, confused, just what's happening. We're making out. I don't know.
I love that.
Because I'm not a morning person. Don't touch me. Don't talk to me. I am not awake at all.
Yeah, I get that. Question number 2, spontaneous or slow burn?
Spontaneous in the books that I read and slow burn in my life.
I love
Do not
it.
give me a slow burn smut book. I will throw it in the garbage. If the sex starts on page 200, I do not want it.
You're like, no.
No, I don't have time for this.
I love that answer. It shows the dynamic of it all.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, question number 3. What's one unexpected thing that turns you on?
I don't know if I would think anything is unexpected at this point. I don't know about you and the work we do, but I would say rain, a rainstorm, thunderstorm, nature, any natural event, not a scary one, but I love rain, period.
Yes.
I think a lot of people like rain. But I like everything about it. I like the energy of it. I like the lighting getting darker. I like the sound. I like the smell. All my senses are happy when it's raining.
Gosh, and just putting your hand out, feeling the drops.
Yes. Right? It's such a multi-sensory experience for it to be raining, especially if you're near outside or in outside. It really works for me.
Yes. So hot. Rain tonight, please.
I know, right? Damn.
Yes. Okay, 2 more questions. Question number 4. One desire myth you want to set on fire.
That you're broken. You're not broken.
Yes.
Jeez.
Not broken. If
We're putting it on the billboard.
We're putting it on the billboard, and that's one thing you're taking away. You are not broken. None of us are broken.
Nope.
All right. Final question. Desire in one word. Go.
I'm not going to say wanting because I already said that, and that's just the definition. Flexible.
Yes.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Flexible. I love it. Yes. Amazing, Angie. This has been fabulous. I love
So
this.
fun.
I love it. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for our listeners for listening in. You know the drill. Please send this to your friends, your partners, your frenemies, your mom, your grandma. your
Yes. Oh my
neighbor.
God.
They all need to hear this. We all need to hear the message. You're not broken. These wonderful tools that Angie has provided for us. Amazing. Like, share, subscribe. And remember to lubricate, masturbate, and get a yes. As always, thank you for coming. Please come again and again, and please come again. Bye.
Thanks for having me.
As a reminder, Desire is an Amazon Prime. It doesn't always come fast. And thank God, because sometimes overnight delivery is overrated. Huge love to Angie Enger for this convo and to you for listening. Now go get what you want on your own damn timeline.